Hey guys, what is going on? It's Cal and Sal here, and Jay, for you, those of you longtime fans.
Welcome, Jay. Welcome, Jay.
Yeah, welcome back, man. It's been a long time.
Nice
We got a celebration of the end of quarantine special. We actually got Jay in-house here in the studio, here in Maui. Thank you so much, Sal, for flying us out. Jay, welcome back.
Anytime I can open up the cabana for you boys, I'm always happy to do it.
Wow, we really appreciate it.
And State of Hawaii made it a little more accessible, so I was able to get you boys out. How was the flight out?
It was great. It was great. Thanks, first class.
Yeah,
classic Sal.
Just glad to be of service.
Yeah, appreciate it. Sorry that the private jet was booked, but we took, like Josh said, first class was great. We took
that's fantastic.
We took United. It was perfect. We're happy to fly in. Thanks for hosting us at the cabana. And for all you listeners out there, thank you so much for sticking with us over the summer. I know it's been dry with NFL, but a lot of interesting stuff with the draft going on. So what we're doing is what we've been promising since the end of last year. Today we finally are bringing it to you. It's the 2021 QB rankings. Let's all give it a hand for that. You guys are probably really excited. Now, before we get started, let me preface this because this is not a fantasy football rankings. You see a lot of that online. This is just who's the best quarterback. I'm trying to win a Super Bowl. I'm trying to make the playoffs. I'm trying to win games. If you took a random assortment of surrounding talent, who's that guy I'm going with? So we're going to give all 32 starting quarterbacks in order from worst to best. And this is not fantasy football rankings, so rushing stats don't count more, because in reality, a 1 yard rushing is the same as a pass. This isn't fantasy football. So some of the guys, your Lamar Jackson, that might be the king of fantasy, aren't going to be as high on this list because it's about winning games, and he's 1-4 in the playoffs. So keep in mind, this is just, I'm trying to win games, I'm trying to win playoff games, I'm trying to make the Super Bowl. So a guy like Tom Brady is going to be great on this list, or he wouldn't be as good as a fantasy pick. So just I'm prefacing that. So let's get started. Number 32. Not a big surprise here. We're going Cam Newton. So actually, this list is going to be my list, but Sal and Jay are going to chime in if they think a guy's too high or too low. Excuse me. But Cam Newton, New England. We're assuming he's going to be starting out the gate. Mac Jones. I love that pick. I think Bill Belichick really lucked out this time and got a great draft pick. But we're going to go Cam Newton at 32. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
I'm going to say, just from my own side, I think it's, his stats may have not been good last year. I think it was more on the fact that Bill Belichick is the coach, and that system does not favor a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, you saw Brady. He threw 24 touchdowns, 8 interceptions the year before. He goes to Tampa Bay. He's setting records, Yeah. Almost had 40 touchdowns, I think.
It's not really fair to give Cam that, but I do agree he's coming off those injuries and his shoulder surgery, and his downfield accuracy is going away. But Mac Jones is going to be the truth once he comes around.
I agree. I'm really high on Mac Jones. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Well, Cal, I've always said I think you're a little harsh on him, so I tend to agree with Jay here. Is that there's more factors involved than just Cam's abilities, but I'm not going to argue. I have to put Cam he's definitely in my bottom rankings, but.
He threw 8 touchdowns last year. I mean, that's just, you can't win NFL games throwing half a touchdown a game at quarterback. This isn't the 60s anymore. This generation of QBs is so talented. You got your Joe Burrows, your Herberts coming up, like the young generation. You can't throw half a touchdown a game and expect to be competitive and make the playoffs. So they either got to figure that out or, and I'm not saying Cam never had talent. It's just with the injuries and stuff, he's getting older. I haven't seen anything out of him in the past 5 to 10 years that has led me to believe he's a quality quarterback. So we're going to move on. We got personally, I'm going to go Tua Tagovailoa here. His record last year wasn't bad at 6-3 as a starter, but keep in mind Ryan Fitzpatrick came in and won a couple of those games. Actually, Ryan Fitzpatrick was pretty clutch in the fourth quarter of a lot of those. But Tua, he was averaging I think right around 150 yards a game. He's not a big spread the field guy. He's kind of a check down guy. Miami has a pretty talented team, good defense. They still won some games. But I wasn't too impressed with him in his rookie campaign. What did you guys think?
Well, I think he's your atypical or prototypical Alabama quarterback. So, I think he was overhyped, and I think the pressure was too much. I think he'll probably do better this next year because maybe some of the pressure will be off, because there was pretty high expectations for him.
Yeah, and I'm just piggybacking off what Cal said. He just really doesn't have any unique talent to him. It's just kind of a dud.
Yeah.
And it's really all they really cared about is just don't lose the game for us. So you can't really win with a quarterback like that.
You're not going to make it far in the playoffs if you can't be dynamic at the quarterback position. And he's small, unathletic, and doesn't have a strong arm. So it's, maybe he sees the field decently, but, that's not enough to get you off the island if you're trying to go far in the playoffs.
And I don't think he makes it out the full season. I think he's riding the bench.
You think he's going to become a career backup?
Yeah, a few games in, and then.
Yeah, I kind of see him. I think
he's going to have like a Marcus Mariota type.
Yeah, I think a Mariota career is a pretty good comparison for him. Like, can play spot minutes here and there at starter if your starter gets injured, but I don't see him as a long-term starter in this league, based on what I saw last year. I don't think the talent's there. So now we're going to move on to another, downtrodden quarterback here. We got Drew Locke. He was 4-9 last year. Denver, a lot of fans hate him, and I understand. I've seen a lot of Drew Locke's games. I think he's just too cavalier with that ball. He doesn't really care if he throws interceptions. He's a big line drive thrower of the football, so those are coming right across the middle of the field, throws a lot of picks, and he'll lose you games, in winnable games because he's careless with the football. He doesn't put a lot of touch on the ball. He's definitely no Kirk Cousins, and he just seems to throw balls into traffic at a line drive, no loft on the ball. Those are getting picked every time, and I just haven't liked what I've seen out of him. No matter how hard you throw the ball, if it's a line drive, it's not getting through defenders if they're right in the way. And he throws a lot of picks for that reason. And I'm not too high on him. Of course, I'm not too high on Bridgewater either, so it's a toss-up between the two of those. Either way, I'd probably put it about 30.
Yeah.
Your guys' thoughts, you agree?
I agree with that one.
Not going to argue that one.
All right. Moving on to Jalen Hurts, who went 1-3 last year as a starter. It's an interesting one, because I actually think in some ways he's a better fit with the Philadelphia roster than Carson Wentz was. I know this sounds blasphemous. A lot of people hype up Carson Wentz. But Jalen Hurts as a mobile quarterback with kind of a weak arm and suspect accuracy, he can move in the pocket. So he's a high floor, low ceiling guy. If you don't have an offensive line, at least he can run. Because Carson Wentz, it doesn't matter how good you are throwing the football if you have no offensive line. If you, at least Jalen Hurts can get you 10 yards on the run. He's not going to get you off the island. You'll never go far in the playoffs. But if you're just trying to raise your floor to maybe 6 wins a season, he could be your guy. So I do like that about Jalen Hurts. Wasn't that impressed with his throwing downfield, but we'll see if he can mature a bit this year. But I have him at 29 right now.
Yeah, I'd put him again in the list of definitely one of those quarterbacks that's not going to be playing starting at the end of the season. I think maybe you go 6-10, but I'm probably less high on him than you are.
6-11 now with the extra game, but yeah.
But I'm probably less high on him than you are. I think they just kind of keep him there. It's kind of like how Minshew was. You just keep someone in that spot.
Yeah, and then you get a high draft pick.
Okay, I'm going for the draft.
Yeah.
He's a lotto player.
But I see him starting the whole year because I don't even think they have
a he might, but I'm saying it's going to be a Minshew thing where it's like they're trying to lose.
No, I totally agree with you there.
Yeah.
I think they're just give him another year there, and then they'll get a high draft pick and see what they can do this year in the draft.
Yeah.
Sam Darnold moving over to Carolina. What do you guys think there? I have him at 28. Colin Cowherd would hate me. For those of you listeners out there that watch Cowherd as well, he's a huge Darnold guy.
Fan, yeah.
I haven't been impressed with him. I mean, it's hard to tell with the Jets, but I really haven't seen anything there. It's kind of a 2-0 situation for me. I don't know what the draw is.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of scared he's going to prove you wrong this year.
I am a little nervous.
That's the one on the list.
That's the only reason I had him at 28 is because I'm a little scared. There's got to be something.
You got McCaffrey in the backfield. Then everyone has to come in a little bit closer, and you give Sam Darnold a little bit more chance to get it over the top. And I really think that might be. That's one where I'm kind of. I understand why Colin's giving him one more shot because he could get lucky.
I saw a couple throws, and he's pretty athletic. I'll give him that. He's a good runner, much more athletic than Bridgewater was. So they're going to like that at having a mobile QB. But I don't know. He's kind of got a noodle arm for me, and he throws a lot of picks.
That Carolina offense was doing good still when they had Cam, who was hurt, and they had to direct snap to Christian McCaffrey on plays.
It's a
talented
still
team.
Winning games. It's a talented team, but Bridgewater made him look like a joke last year.
Yeah.
But I think Darnold's going to be an upgrade over Bridgewater. I'm not sure if I have him any higher than 28, though.
Yeah, I could see that because he had some very awful games.
He did. He's better than anything the Jets have
But I
had.
worry that he might actually have some good games this season.
We'll see. Without the Jets, anything's possible. But 28 for now, I think, is fair for him. Moving on to Ryan Fitzpatrick. Moving over to Washington. I kind of like that signing, even though I'm also a big Chad Henne, or what's his name, Heineke, Taylor Heineke guy. I really liked what I saw in the playoffs last year. I thought they might actually give him a serious shot at the starting job, but I think they'll probably go with Fitzpatrick. just because he's more established in the league. He's a cult favorite. People seem to love Fitzpatrick. I don't know what I see there. He had that one great throw late in that game last year on the face mask downfield. But Fitzpatrick, he's hit or miss. He's either going to throw 4 touchdowns or 4 interceptions, and you never know on any given night. So, 27 because he can look like a great QB some nights, but it's just not consistent enough for me to put him as a high or even average starter in the league, especially getting older a bit too. Although he's still pretty athletic for his age. Your guys' thoughts there?
Well, he's one of those mysteries. I've been watching him over the years, and he has those nights and days when he's just Fitzmagic, as they say, and
yeah, he
just sets the world on fire. But he is so inconsistent. Yeah,
he's all time inconsistent too.
Because I love his. He seems like his fellow teammates rally around him. So I could see the the Washington football team rallying around him. So he may surprise us this year. We'll see.
Yeah, and I kind of piggyback all-time talent, but so inconsistent that you can't really.
You can't trust him.
NFL, you got to win. You can't. It's not a best-of-7 series. You got to win every game when you're going through the playoffs. So you can't have that kind of inconsistency to be a top-tier quarterback.
Yeah, I agree. I do love Washington's defense, and they have some good offensive weapons. But we'll see. Ryan Fitzpatrick just doesn't have the consistency for me. But moving on to 26, I got Daniel Jones. He's shown flashes. He's a great athlete, one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league. Actually has a higher top speed than Lamar Jackson, who's considered a great runner. So I think if they use him more, they're kind of using him as a pocket QB, but if they try to branch him out and have him be a mobile QB, play to his strengths, I think he could be, give him a little spunk out there. But, he's kind of doesn't have the strongest arm, and they don't seem to win games with him, and he kind of comes up short quite a few times and makes bad decisions with the football. So I think 26 seems fair for Daniel Jones. A little bit of potential there. I like what I see sometimes, but overall, not enough for me to give him any higher than 26.
Yep, I see it that way too.
Yeah, I think to me, might seem some of the other quarterbacks might seem a little bit more talented to me who are lower. Maybe Fitzpatrick, but I guess it's so low on the list that
it's hard at these points to even argue these points because they're all kind of pretty.
They're pretty
bad. They're low tier quarterbacks. You're never going to win games with any of these guys. So moving on to 25. Speaking of which, you got Dak Prescott, leading the pack here. Keep in mind this isn't fantasy football, so garbage time stats mean nothing to us. This is just about winning games. He went 1-3 last year as a starter. Team ended up around 500 thanks to Andy Dalton playing pretty well. I was surprised they didn't bring back Dalton over Prescott. I think they should have seriously considered that. I'm really low on Dalton as well. I have him right around this range, maybe a little higher. But Dak's just been so awful for so many years. I just can't believe he got a high contract. That just doesn't add up to me. And you're pretty much signing yourself off to the penitentiary for the next couple of years. They're going to be and you're in the NFC East and you can't even win the NFC East. And it's been abysmal for the past couple of years. You're fighting Jalen Hurts, one-legged Alex Smith, and Daniel Jones on the New York Giants, and you can't even go over 500. It just blows my mind that they signed Dak Prescott to that contract, despite the surrounding talent he has, one of the most surrounding talented rosters in the league. I might even put Dak Prescott lower if I could do this list over again. It just blows my mind watching him play. Your guys' thoughts there?
Yeah, I wouldn't say. I think GMs and everyone gets caught up by garbage yards.
You think like fantasy stats?
Even the GMs. He was leading when he got injured. He's leading the fantasy football league. He must be a good quarterback. When it's really people playing prevent D and letting him just kind of dink and dunk for 20 yards a play as they're down 20, and then you get all your sports talk radio people saying, "Oh, he almost brought them back."
I love those headlines that are like, "Despite 500 yards and 6 touchdowns, Dak Prescott not enough to overcome the horrific Dallas defense, who managed, despite having 42 minutes of time of possession for the first 3 quarters, held in there." Yeah. It's like, if you never get first downs, your defense is going to give up points. And then when they start playing prevent D, when you're down 40-6, you can put up some stats. Because they're like, I don't feel like playing defense. Let's just give them 15 yards of play and get out of here. And it literally happens. Like, you can watch the games, go watch the film. Dak Prescott's that guy. Love him. I'm a huge fan of the guy personally, but atrocious football player. And really has no business as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
I think the reason it would be so difficult to to accept that he got signed is because I think everyone else on this list below, everyone knows sucks.
Yeah, this is the one that pisses me off. This one pisses
people
me off.
believe that Dak is
there are
good.
people that say Dak Prescott.
I don't think anyone below on this list, anyone's arguing that's a great talent.
No one's going to argue with you about the other guys, but this is the one that really bothers me because I've heard comments on YouTube, on talk shows saying, he's a top 20 quarterback. I've heard that, I've had a top
insane.
20. I don't know. Maybe somebody thinks he's even average, and it just blows my mind. But if you look at all the stats, okay, we've rambled on this too long. I apologize. If there's any Cowboys fans over there, I'm sure you guys can commiserate with us. So we hate Dak Prescott's talent as well, but love the guy personally.
I think you guys are a little too hard on him. I think you were turned off by his warm-up routine that he's
the hip.
where he shuffles his hips. I see him. I think I would probably rank him.
That one really got to me
top.
When he's trying to activate his hips, and he's like, "Is it that hard to throw a football?" He makes it look that hard. I'll tell you that.
I would probably put him in number 15. So I'm gonna.
Sal, please, please.
Seriously.
Sal, I do not want to have to kick you off the pod. You're a huge sponsor for us. We appreciate everything you do. We thank you for having us out here tonight. But please be reasonable.
I just think you were turned off by his hip move, his little hip.
But please be reasonable, Sal.
Thing he does for warm-ups.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, so we'll let you keep your eyes open for anyone up higher on this list.
Yeah, let us know who you think Dak Prescott's better.
Because you're going to be cutting out 10 more quarterbacks. So you got to tell us where.
Yeah, tell us exactly where you want to put them.
All right,
and then we're going to call you on it. Okay, but moving on, Justin Fields I have here. I know he's a rookie. Chicago has one of the worst offensive lines in the league, but that's why I like the signing or the drafting of Justin Fields. He's a pretty mobile quarterback, and he throws a good deep ball.
Won't Dalton be starting, though?
I'm going to assume Justin Fields is going to win the job. I'm really not impressed with Dalton at all, to be honest with you.
You just said you loved him, and
I said he's better than Dak. I think he's atrocious, but he's better than Dak. And I don't think he's a starting quarterback in the league.
Okay.
But he was he had more success than Dak was all I was saying, which is true, record-wise.
All right.
But anyway, so yeah, I like Justin Fields' talent. Bears have a terrible offensive line and don't have much receiving talent to throw to. Not that high on Allen Robinson. I do like what's his name?
David Montgomery?
No, not David. Yeah, David Montgomery. I was thinking Ty Montgomery. But yeah, David Montgomery is really good. But aside from that, not much there on that team. So I don't think he's going to put up great stats. But I like the talent and I like the fit with this team.
Yeah, I can't say he's going to have much to work with in terms of teammates. But since we're talking raw talent here, I could see that being a fair.
Yeah,
judgment.
you put him on a different team, I think he'd be pretty good.
Yeah, I could see that. But again, he's going to be this low because he's a rookie. He hasn't proven himself.
Yeah, some of the rookies are lower than they might end up being at the end of the year, just because we're going to say, got to make us see it before we give you that rating.
Yeah. I can't say that he's going to be worse than the people ahead.
I can't imagine he'd be worse than Dak Prescott. So that's where we draw the line. Yeah. He's got to be better than that. But so let's go on to 23. We got Matt Ryan, Noodle Arm Matt. I'm probably the ultimate Matt Ryan hater. There's people that think Matt Ryan's a great quarterback. I just don't see it. I think he's slow, unathletic. Throws one of the weakest lame ducks in the league. That thing just flutters out there 20 yards maybe. So bad that Julio Jones asked for a trade. He said, I need a strong arm quarterback, and I totally agree with him. Finally, we're going to see Julio Jones on Locke with Tannehill because it's tough to watch Matt Ryan play football for me. And I have seen quite a few Atlanta Hawks games and Atlanta Falcons, and he does lose a lot of those games personally just by being a terrible quarterback. So yeah, 23. That might even be high.
He seems a little high.
Yeah, I think that's a little high.
But he's not really much worse than everyone else below him. So
there's a lot of bad NFL quarterbacks.
I might put Fields ahead of him.
I'm just saying because he's a rookie. But I'd much rather have Fields, to be honest with you.
Yeah, if I had to pick.
So if I could redo that, go ahead and put Fields at 23. But I put this list together, and I guess because he was a rookie, I just didn't want to put him too high. But I really don't like Matt Ryan. Your thoughts there? So.
Well, I'm older than you boys, and I remember Matt Ryan tearing up the Packers a few games where he was just on fire. So I know he can get the job done, but I believe he's lost a little bit of his fastball over.
Yeah, he's throwing the noodles up there. So anyway, moving on to 22. This list makes me realize how bad the average quarterback talent is in the league and why these teams are so desperate in the draft to get QBs. Because at 22, no offense to him, but we got Taysom Hill. He's only started 4 games in his career. Or actually, he started a few the year before. But he went 3-1 this last year. Not a great thrower of the football. It looks a little forced and mechanical. But an incredible athlete. Ran a 4.40. Just trucks defenders. He's kind of like your, poor man's... I'd say he's very similar to Lamar Jackson, but he's not as elusive. He's not as, he's but much stronger and bigger, and straight line speed maybe faster, but he's not as elusive in the pocket as Lamar, and the team's not as well built for him. But I do like him. He can throw a pretty good deep ball.
I'd put him around my Dak Prescott.
You think he's that? At least he's an athlete.
I think he's slightly better, but I think it's kind of insulting that at least Matt Ryan made it to a Super Bowl, and
well, Drew Brees was starting. Maybe Taysom Hill would have taken him there. I mean, he's a great athlete.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But I guess we're putting rookies up there too right now. Yeah. So.
This is still, we're in kind of the garbage tier of quarterbacks. Yeah. But I actually kind of like some of Taysom Hill's potential as a mobile QB. But yeah, he's not.
I want to see it.
He's not the most natural thrower of the football for me.
Yeah,
it looks a little forced, and he doesn't see the field that quickly. He doesn't process it that fast. But moving on, we got Carson Wentz moving over to the Indianapolis Colts here at 21. He went 3-8-1 last year with the Philadelphia Eagles. I guess that's better than Jalen Hurts. It's not saying much. He's a guy. He's not the most athletic after his injury. He tore that ACL, I think. So he kind of needs an offensive line. Fortunately, the Colts have a great offensive line. I think with the right mentality, he could get you there. He's got good talent. He looked great 3-4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
If he can get back to that, I'm just going to say, I'm going to give him 21 out of respect that maybe he can get back to form this year and take the Indianapolis Colts. He's got to be better than Phillip Rivers, I think. Phillip, I've never been high on. Somehow wins games, but I think Carson Wentz is pretty talented with the right mentality. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I'm curious to see because there were rumors that he was a little bit of a cancer on the Eagles, like he didn't get along well with his fellow players in the locker room. So we'll see if he has a better fit with the Indy organization. Maybe a different coach will help him.
Yeah, it's a different culture over there too. Yeah. I think he might fit in better. He's kind of a country boy.
Yeah, so that might
Philadelphia is more city folk.
Right, so maybe that would be a better spot for him. He's a Dakota boy. You boys know before I got this place out here on the islands. Spent a good time, a good deal of my time in the Dakotas.
You sure did. I've heard a lot of good stories from Sal.
Yeah.
Sometimes out on the balcony at night when we're over at the cabana. Sal
I don't like to tell people too much about it because I try to keep the population down there.
Yeah.
I want it over.
No, well, Sal can tell a great fireside story. I'll tell you that. A lot of good experiences out in the Midwest. Good hunting season. So I know Carson's into that, and I think he'll fit right in Indianapolis. I was just down there actually a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Really nice town, river town. But anyway, moving on to Kyla Murray at 20. He's got a little spunk. He's kind of like a homeless man's Russell Wilson. He's got a much weaker arm than Russell, and not as elusive as a young Russell Wilson, and doesn't put as good touch on the ball. It's more of a line drive, which when you're 5'8" is really tough because you can throw picks a lot. Whereas Russell's more of an over-the-top thrower, throws a nice arc on the ball, just teardrops it in. I think that's kind of what's going to hold Kyler Murray back. He's more of a sidearm thrower. So I think this is kind of his ceiling here at 20. He's a great fantasy quarterback because he's a scrambler.
Mm-hmm.
But this is about winning games here. And he went 8-8 last year, despite adding DeAndre Hopkins and a really talented surrounding cast. I think he's kind of capping out here for me at 20. Just a hair below average quarterback. Not bad, fun to watch, but I don't think he can compete with some of the elite QBs in the league.
Jay?
Yeah, I mean, Kyler Murray, it's just the height thing. It's the same reason why I'm not as high on Mayfield as you are. I understand that you can have talent, but at some point you got to be able to look over your offensive line.
It's a big deal. Yeah.
And I can't put him any higher than that. I think he's pretty mobile. I think he's a little more elusive than you give him credit for, and he's got a little bit better touch. But I think he's about in the right spot.
Yeah.
I don't see you going too far with him. It's a football. You can win games if your quarterback's kind of just good and accurate.
Yeah. We've seen that. We've seen guys.
Drew Brees did it for his whole career. So,
yeah.
It can be done. So, he could be successful, but I think just in terms of raw talent and God-given ability, I just don't think he quite has the frame for it.
Yeah, I agree. It's tough as a little quarterback, but he's fun to watch. He's spunky back there,
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts there, Sal? You agree?
Oh, I agree. Although he's one of the guys that we'll look back a year from now, and I wouldn't be surprised, boys, if you guys should have ranked him a little higher. But that's just me. I've always been a little high on him because I watched his college tapes and I was impressed, and I've seen him make some pretty incredible plays. but he's inconsistent. Sometimes I think he's just going to really set the league on fire, and then other days I watch him and I go, what is he doing out there? So, yeah.
It's tough when you're that short, but he's pretty good for his height and frame.
Right.
So we're moving on to 19 here. We're starting to get into the better, at least average quarterbacks almost. We're going Jimmy G here. He's always been a successful starter. You can't knock success. Every other quarterback that San Francisco rolls out seems to struggle or just be an absolute abomination, really. So Jimmy G himself seems to be their only shining light. You can say his surrounding talent is what's carrying him, but it doesn't seem like any other quarterback can get it done. And they've tried 5 or 6 over the past 3 years, and none of them can even go close to 500. And meanwhile, he's going, I think, like 30-3 or something. So there's got to be something there with Jimmy G. It doesn't, the highlights don't flash off, the television. He doesn't do anything super spectacular during the game, but he's just solid all the way through. He moves the chains, gets into the red zone, kicks field goals, converts in the red zone. And he's a good leader. The guys like him on the team. Mm-hmm. I have him about just a hair below average quarterback. He wins games. San Francisco has great surrounding talent, but he's a good job if you need to plug in and get the job done, move the chains. He's not going to elevate a team of just mediocre talent, I don't think, but he can definitely run the train if it's already in the right direction. And he's shown that with the 49ers.
Yeah, you can't argue with that. Just really all the other quarterbacks they tried just hasn't really worked out. I do think it's mainly due to their defense, obviously, that they're winning the games, but he's been good at kind of just doing his job and hitting the kind of 10 to 15 yard throws that he needs to hit.
Over the middle. That's kind of his game.
And then kind of just leave it up to the run game, and you leave it up to Shanahan at that point to try and figure out your way to win the game.
Yeah, he's a game manager type. It's kind of like the new age Alex Smith without the athleticism.
Yeah,
it's kind of what I see for him. Your thoughts there, Sal?
Oh, I agree. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to 18. I got Zach Wilson slotted in here. Never played a game in the NFL. And, I'm watching that tape. I really like a lot of things I see on the film from his college games. He didn't play in the highest, most competitive divisions. But
that young man was at BYU.
He was at BYU. It's a good competitive D1 program, but I'm saying it's not like the elite talent that he's playing around, which can be a good thing for quarterbacks if you don't have complete separation from your receivers. Now, he did have some incredible receivers on the team with great hands that were getting up, catching those jump balls, just out-muscling guys that he's not going to have in the NFL, because the NFL is mainly speedsters, and BYU was all big 6'4 receivers that could just out-jump, outwork these guys. So every jump ball that he was throwing up, they're coming down with it, whereas you're not going to have that in NFL if you're throwing to, especially in his situation, on the New York Jets. So, he's definitely not going to have that luxury in the NFL. But I do like his athleticism. He has great ball placement and touch, and he's a pretty good size at 6'3", so I think he could be a poor man's Pat Mahomes. That's kind of what I see for him. He's better than Sam Darnold, I think, as a prospect, definitely. But, with the Jets, what's he going to really be doing? I like the talent, though, so I'm going to put him there at 18.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my reasoning for why I think we might be sleeping on Sam Darnold, is you can acknowledge it, at least for here, that there's no talent, no surrounding talent for him to prove anything.
Yeah.
So, that's my reasoning for why Sam Darnold might be higher. I think he's going to be good, but the Jets are going to be awful, so no one's going to really pay any attention to him.
Yeah. And it's hard to know. He has no offensive line, so you're scrambling for your life every play, so I really don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about him. I think he's talented, though. I like what I saw on film.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to see a lot of Zach yet because, guys have run been a crazy year, as you know.
Oh, yeah.
In the market, so.
You've been so busy with your clients, I'm sure.
Just didn't get a lot of tape. I don't see a lot of BYU.
Yeah. I don't watch nearly as much college football as I do NFL. So a lot of this I'm just going off watching full games when I can.
Right.
And a lot of highlight mixes and even analysis of other, YouTubers and stuff. So, if I'm a little off on that, I apologize, but I'm slotted in at 18 because I like a lot of what I saw. I'm going to go Ben Roethlisberger at 17. He's getting
we all
older.
know Big Ben, so.
Yeah, nothing really needs to be said about that. He's getting older, doesn't quite have the same zip on the ball that he used to.
Big Ben could win the Super Bowl next year. None of us would say, well, we were completely shocked. He could do that.
He's capable.
He's capable.
It's just health. I think it's health for him.
Is his health going to hold up?
Late in the season, that arm starts to get a little noodly. He kind of turns into a Matt Ryan type, and he throws up these lame ducks. And so can he keep that same elasticity on the elbow late in the season? Because he's had a lot of surgeries, injuries, and he's getting older. So he's got the talent to be the best QB on any given Sunday, but can he keep doing it throughout the whole season? And he didn't do it last year.
No, he did not.
So moving on, just to keep it going, we got 16. This is maybe controversial, I guess, but I got Deshaun Watson here. Went 4-12 last year.
Now, here's where I jump in, and a lot of these sportscasters have been saying rank him as a top 5 quarterback.
I think that's completely ridiculous, but go on, yeah.
Well, I'm just telling you.
I don't think. I think with what's going on right now, I don't think he's even going to play next season. So
I guess that's a moot point. Probably he may not even play. But I mean, for me, you got to take some accountability for going 4-12. This was a great, respectable Houston team for many years before he got there. Yeah, they shipped DeAndre Hopkins out of town, but you got to make it work. You see what Baker Mayfield did when Odell Beckham went down. He got even better. He's playing with I don't know what the developmental league in the NFL is called, the G League, can we call it? If there is such a thing, practice squad players. Baker Mayfield's turning him on fire, I'd like to see some of that out of Deshaun Watson, but he just didn't seem to be able to move the chains when it counted. And he had the same amount of rushing yards as Kirk Cousins, so he's not even a dual-threat quarterback. I don't know what people are getting at there, If you go 4-12, you're a pocket QB and you can't elevate surrounding talent. I'm being generous.
I think they just give him the benefit of the doubt because of what he did at Clemson.
But we can't live off college. This is the NFL.
I think that's all it is.
You have to have some success in the NFL to be qualified as
it can't be
as
from
an
his
elite QB.
stats in the NFL.
No.
It can't have anything to do with that.
As they always say on the streets, swag don't pay the bills. He thinks he's great. You can tell he carries himself with the cockiness, but can you really be cocky going 4-12? I'd say, I'm glad you're feeling good about yourself. Enjoy Cabo, because all the playoff teams are going to go to the playoffs. Good for him getting to go to Cabo early every year, but it's not good enough if you're trying to win games, and that's the goal of GMs in this league. So I'm being generous to put him at 16, just because if you look at raw stats, include a lot of that Dak Prescott garbage time. Sure, it looks like he has some good QB numbers, but when it comes down to third downs, moving the chains, winning games, clutch time, you can't go 4-12 as an elite quarterback in this league. So I'm going to generously put him at 16.
Yeah, I think you can't really make an argument for a 4-12 quarterback with a at least decent team. I mean, J.J. Watt was getting older at the time, and D-Hop leaving was a big hit, but still, 4-12 is...
You got to make something happen. People would crucify Kirk Cousins for going 7-9 and say, well, Deshaun Watson's great, man. What are you talking about? He's a top 5 quarterback. He went 4-12. You just can't make that same argument,
Yeah, you can't.
You just can't. You got to win those games, So that's where I got him there. I think that's honestly a little high, but I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt at 16, just because he has some good raw stats if you look at certain metrics. Moving on to Jared Goff here at 15. He gets a lot of hate despite a lot of success. He beat Russell Wilson last year in the playoffs with a semi-broken hand again. The guy's just the kryptonite for the Seahawks. The guy's just their assassin. He wins a lot of games, puts up a lot of great stats. I don't know what it is. I think it's maybe McVay hates him. Maybe the fan base just hates him because he's coming in as a first pick. You want him to be the next Josh Allen, the next, Aaron Rodgers, next Mahomes. He's not quite that talented, but he wins a lot of games, puts up a lot of great stats, and I don't know what you want from him. He's a pocket QB. You know what you're drafting. He's not the most mobile guy. He can move. He just doesn't like to. And so I think, he's probably, I think he's 40 times actually faster than Mahomes. So, I mean, it's just the way they use him is kind of like he sits in that pocket, gets a little afraid sometimes, a little frazzled when a rush comes in.
Mahomes isn't really a scrambler either.
No, he's not. But I'm saying, why do they hate on Goff? There's a lot of fans that hate on him, even though he wins a lot of games, puts up good stats. Yeah, he's not the best QB in the league, but I don't see the hatred of him. He's a lot better than
to me,
half the league.
He seems a little high on this list.
Really?
But that's also, I'm big on... maybe the stats don't show it for the LA Rams offensive line, but I do think that played a big part in
They
his
do have a
success.
great offensive line.
And they have a great defensive line. I mean, it was ranked number 1 defensive line in the league with Donald.
Yeah.
So, I mean, just in terms of success beating the Seahawks, I mean, you said it yourself that Wilson wasn't in good form at the end of the season, so I can't really say that was that huge of a success from Goff.
No.
To beat them.
I'm not saying it's the greatest thing ever. I mean, Russell Wilson playing awful, so it's like anybody could have beat him.
So I mean, we'll see how he does. I think I have a bad taste in my mouth from the injury to his hand, so that I'm thinking can he even throw right now?
Yeah,
so
but that's last year.
Yeah, so if he's healthy, I mean, he was good. Just think of a year ago, their supposedly greatest game. Regular season versus the...
Yeah, he outplayed Mahomes.
Yeah, when they played Mahomes.
Yeah.
I think it was 55-54 or something like that. Obviously, he's got talent.
Yeah, he's
I think he had a bad year last year, so I could give you that.
Even then, he was 10-6, man. It's not bad.
I'm saying he had a bad year for how good his team was.
Okay, maybe.
That was a good team.
If you think he's underperforming, I mean, he's going to Detroit, so it'll be worse now, but
Yeah.
I like what I saw out of him. You know, he's definitely a guy that you don't want to sleep on. If I'm up 7 on Jared Goff, I'm not feeling comfortable.
I could see him being here. I just don't think he's earned it after last season.
Would you ever put Deshaun Watson over him?
No.
No. So, I mean, who are you going to put over him that was lower?
I think Roethlisberger.
Come on now.
Okay,
Jared Goff's a better version
he put
of
up the same
Roethlisberger.
stats as Justin Herbert, and everyone hates
Yeah,
Ben
but
Roethlisberger and loves Justin Herbert.
Yeah, but he was bad in the second half of the season when you really got to be good and in the playoffs.
Yeah, okay, he's getting older. I get
no,
that.
so that's a big deal.
I
You
get
got to win
that,
the playoffs.
but, I mean,
I agree.
that's
He had a
my guy.
great first half of the season. He was incredible, Roethlisberger. But you got to be good in the playoffs.
I think Roethlisberger probably was just getting frustrated with his team.
Well, anyway, okay, so maybe you think
And
Jared
he's got to
Goff's
lay
not-
off some of the
I think
gears.
he's just
You
about
think
right.
If Roethlisberger kind of gets his diet in shape and maybe hits the treadmill every once in a while,
Okay.
I think he'll be fine.
Okay, now this next one is debatably controversial. We got Trevor Lawrence slotted in here at 14, despite never having played in the
That's
NFL
what I
game.
like hearing, Cal. That's what they pay you for.
Is that too much? I don't know. I think I like him here. You know,
Seems
one of
a
the
little
best
low.
one of the best prospects coming out of college I've ever seen, maybe since Andrew Locke, and he was incredible with the Colts despite no surrounding talent. So I think he could maybe uplift this Jaguars team that's been stuck with Minshew and the dregs of the NFL for many years now. I think he's going to bring a lot of fire and a lot of entertainment to that team, and they could be competitive. I don't think they'll make the playoffs this year, but within the next couple years, I could see it, and I think he's going to be a great, incredible talent going forward. Just a great athlete, great size, great vision, great accuracy, really strong arm. Love everything I see out of Trevor Lawrence, and he's a winner. So he's lost, 2 games in his entire career, including college. He's never lost a regular season game. They're going to like that in Jacksonville. So I think 14 here, going to give him the benefit of the doubt. Wait to see more before I slot him any higher, but I think 14 is a fair spot here.
I will agree with you, but I think, again, it's going to be one of those things where Jacksonville may go 6-11, and people kind of give him some hate, saying, but there wasn't really much he could do.
No,
It's
I mean,
kind
they're
of like
coming
a Jets
from,
situation.
1-17 or 1-15, so...
So you can only do... Football's one of those things where you can only do so much, if you have no other teammates, then there's not much you can do.
It's a big field. There's a lot of guys that got to play offense and defense. It's a
It's
big
like
field.
if none of your receivers can get any separation, like sometimes you just can't even show any of your talent.
Yeah.
But I think he's going to be great, and I think anyone would trade for him. I think like his value there.
Yeah, in fact,
I
it might
think
be the highest in the
yeah.
league, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
It's up there.
it's up there.
You got maybe
But
Josh
he
Allen.
can't be that much higher than everyone else just because he hasn't proved it yet.
Yeah.
He could just be a dud. He could just
He
freak
could be.
out.
It's
he could
possible.
deer in the headlights as he hits it. But
It's possible.
He seems like he handles it well.
Yeah.
Just being a winner, I think he just knows that. But it might hurt him to finally be on a team that starts losing.
Yeah,
Might
we'll
get
see.
to his
It could
head.
get to his head, so we got to see that. How
He's
he
never
handles
been.
losing.
He's never experienced that.
No, he hasn't. So we'll see how he handles the losing this year, because I don't think they're going over 500.
But they might.
They might. I would not be surprised at all. And I really love the talent.
Because
They
they won a game with Minshew.
That's
They might have some
impressive.
talent.
They might have some surrounding talent if they won a game with Minshew. That's very true.
What do you think, Sal?
Oh, I just like the kid. I agree with you. But, I also think that it's pretty, and he's probably the one that will do it, but it's pretty rare for a kid to come out of college at the quarterback position in the NFL and be,
Dominant.
outstanding and
Impactful.
dominant. Yeah.
Well, Joe Burrow was pretty good last year.
Yeah, Joe.
Injured.
Yeah, but he ended up,
But
and
even he went
got
2-7
hurt, so.
and won. So you're not gonna. Yeah, it's rare you'll see him win a bunch of games, but I really like what I saw out of Burrow. But anyway, moving on to 13, we got Matt Stafford here. I've been high on Stafford for a long time. He's getting a little older, but you can't argue with the arm strength, the accuracy, the touch. The way he manipulates a field with his eyes. He's a really talented quarterback. Gets strong props from Aaron Rodgers. So I just love Stafford. I think he's going to fit right in with the Rams. Maybe unlock a little of that potential that Jared Goff left on the table. And he's going to be a great fit there. Good trade for the Rams. I really like what I've seen out of Stafford.
I'm going to disagree with you here. I think he should be higher on your list.
Okay.
I think this is going to be a dangerous team. Okay, maybe I'm thinking the Rams will be better. Maybe talent-wise he might be 11th at quarterback, but the Rams is going to be a
Well, I got him
dangerous team
13.
next year.
13's.
Yeah.
I know he was a number one pick back in the day.
As a longtime Packer fan, I never liked to face Matthew Stafford, because he's a good quarterback.
He was
really
doing that
is.
with Detroit.
Detroit's
That was
atrocious.
Detroit.
You can't hold the record against Stafford because he went 5-11 last year, but that Detroit isn't. They're the worst run franchise probably in the league. Just maybe a couple others, possibly the worst. They've just been bad for so long,
Right.
and they just can't seem to get it together. That defense loses so many games; it's unbelievable. But I really love what I've seen out of Stafford the past 10 years. Been good every year. Terrifying to face. So moving on to 12, we're going Lamar Jackson here. I really liked what I've seen out of Lamar. He's a great regular season player. He's really dynamic. When the defense clamps up in the playoffs, he's gone 1-4. Really struggled, in the playoffs against especially the higher level talent in the league. But he tears up the lower level teams in this league who play bad defense because he can just get out of that pocket, scramble, and he wins games. You can't deny that in the regular season. I think there's a ceiling to him. Pretty easy to play in the playoffs. You just say, we'll get a spy on him, athletic spy on Lamar, make him beat you over the top, and he doesn't seem to be able to do it. But the better teams that have these guys that can run with Lamar, the better defenses of the league, they really seem to shut him down. And we saw that again last year in the playoffs against the Bills. So, I like the talent. He's a very different quarterback. He's a run-first guy, and then it opens up throwing lanes over the top. Definitely not a pocket QB. You can't, if you saw him in the skills challenge in the All-Star game, didn't look like he really belonged out there with a lot of the other QBs, but he's a different style, so you can't compare, his ability to throw the football to all the other NFL quarterbacks because that's not his game. He's more like a running back who can throw, So I think he's a different style QB. He definitely has a ceiling, a great fantasy player, but I think he can make plays for your team and get you into the playoffs. Most years just hasn't been able to go far.
He can get you to the playoffs. He just can't get you deep into the playoffs. Is what you're saying.
I mean the style of play is just you got to be able to throw in this league if you want to make it far in the playoffs. Until proven otherwise, I don't think we've ever seen. Even Michael Vick's a good comparison. He never had much playoff success. I always love watching plays. He scared the heck out of me playing him, but those defenses clamp up in the playoffs, and you just got to be able to bring something else to the table. And Lamar doesn't really have that in his arsenal yet, and I'm not sure if he ever will.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you. I'm really high on Lamar. I think he's probably around 12 for me. I'm really high on him. I think you can get those 10 to 15-yard throws. And just being the ability to scramble. I mean, people kind of say, it's good for fantasy, but I think that can really get you somewhere in terms of just how the defense plays you. So I think he gets a little more hate than I would give him, and I think 12 is about perfect for him. Of course, he won't get you that far in the playoffs, but if defense carries you and kind of you just get that run game going, and if he starts with a lead, I think he could close out those playoff games. So, 12 is about perfect. Really high on him. I think he's going to have a great year next year.
Yeah, he's definitely a floor raiser. Just that style of play. When you have, a mobile quarterback, that can open up the defense with his legs, you can't lose to the bad teams in this league, and that gives you a lot of wins in the season. So, definitely an asset. I think Lamar is a great player, and I love what I've seen at him so far. But moving on to number 11, we have Russell Wilson. Now, here's a player I can't be as complimentary about because, I used to have him a lot higher on this list.
We both did, yeah.
And then I had DK Metcalf on my fantasy team and watched every Seattle Seahawks game last year, and that was the end of me and Russell Wilson. So, started out the season really hot. He was in the MVP conversation, and then I don't know if it was mental, something going on at home with Ciara, or what the deal was, but he just could not seem to find an open receiver to save his life, and he refused to ever throw 50-50 balls to Metcalf, despite being the new age Megatron. And it was killing me as a fantasy owner, but more so killing the Seattle Seahawks when they got bounced in the first round of the playoffs for the same reason, when they floundered in the second half of the season, when he just couldn't get first downs, couldn't make plays, took a lot of sacks by holding the ball too long. And I don't know if it's his small stature or what it is, something mental, if he can't see the field well, but Russell just really separated himself from the elite QBs in this league for me second half of last year. And I lost a lot of respect for him as
he used to be one of the quarterbacks that I pointed to that said, for a smaller mobile quarterback that was used his legs, he was one of the ones I thought was a shining light, and he definitely slipped last year, that's for sure.
Yeah, I don't know if it was just a bad year, maybe, but he's kind of had that thing. Same thing with Jimmy Graham. I thought Jimmy Graham would go there; he'd be able to take great use of him, but he can't seem to use these great ball getter type receivers or tight ends that can go catch 50-50 balls. For whatever reason, it's not part of his repertoire.
But, you've got him at 11, and you got to be honest. Would the Washington football team love to have him?
Of course, yeah. I mean, 11's a respectable spot. But I used to have him in top 7 at least.
What about you?
He was in my top 5 at the start of last year, but I'm usually the biggest Russell defender, but it's hard with how he played the second half of the season for me to put him any higher. I wanted to.
I did too.
Just thinking as you wrote down this list, that was the person that I wanted them in my top 7 now, but I don't think I can do that.
No, Jay,
I had him there.
You're a offensive-minded young man. What about this Seattle offensive line? Do you have any comments about them? Because
see, I did think that
Russell was
I thought that too,
running
Sal.
for his life.
I was with you. If you look at the raw stats,
I think that's one of those media talking points, and I fell for it. I said that.
Cowherd always mentions that.
Yeah, I said that too. I said that to Cal right as we were writing the list, and I was like, "Well, aren't you forgetting about this?" And then, Cal, you can take it away. Kind of shut me down on the spot.
Sure. If you hold the ball and refuse to throw any, even 70-30 balls where your receiver's pretty open, and you just hold the ball forever and wait to get sacked, your offensive line is going to get terrible stats. But is that on them or is that on the quarterback? And having watched every Seattle game last year, every minute of it, I can tell you it's 90% of the time on Russell Wilson for just not hitting open receivers, either not seeing the guy, not being willing to throw maybe interceptions. Whatever it is, he just didn't seem to be able to move the ball downfield and preferred to take sacks instead of taking chances. And I don't know if he's trying to get the blame onto his offensive line so he doesn't have to, take stat hits. Aaron Rodgers used to do this a lot, just throw the ball out of bounds. But he got a bad case of that last year and, got bounced in the first round of the playoffs as a result.
See, that's what's tough about kind of sack statistics is, as a former right tackle myself, is you might have a really poor offensive line, but if the quarterback's great, like Brady, if the line wasn't there, he still releases that ball in under 2 seconds. So the defensive end hates Brady because even if they get right past the defender or the lineman, they can't touch Brady.
You can't.
And they complain. They're like, "How did he get rid of it so quick?" So I think the point about if your sack stats are high and you hold the ball a long time, then you can't complain about your line.
Yeah.
If you're getting sacked in under 3 seconds, then you can complain about the line. But if it's
that's not what's
5 or
happening
6 seconds,
you look into the stats. I promise you, they'd line up with what I was seeing on film. He's holding that ball the whole clock. Guys are open. He's just not hitting those throws.
And if they're forcing you to do that, you got to kind of change your game. And that's where it's tough if you're short because you kind of have to get outside of the pocket anyways. And Brady has the ability
when you're 6'5", you can just throw a 2-second throw, but Russell can't take those chances.
You kind of have to get around people and find that slot through.
So he's going to be a high sack QB because of his play style.
Yeah.
When you're 5'10".
So that is tough. I went for this. I went for the same idea, Sal, and
I bought right into that narrative, but then I watched the film, and the film doesn't.
But the problem is he throws such a pretty ball.
I love that he teardrops his ball. I mean, he can. He just refused to release it last year. I don't know if his arm was getting tired mid-season. He couldn't hit those 50-yard bombs, but he just wasn't throwing them.
He was in my top 5 before, but
I had him around 6, and now I'm down to 11.
I mean, you get older, and especially if you're a mobile quarterback and you're shorter,
especially mid-season, your legs start to go. You got a little, antsy in the pocket, and he's going down to 11, for me, which is still a great spot, above average quarterback, and I still fear him in the playoffs, but frustrating with how good he could be because you see flashes of it like the start of last season. So I got him at 11. Moving on to Derek Carr here at 10. Now this is a much maligned quarterback by the Raiders fan base, and I can't really figure out why. They've had one of the worst defenses for losing games the past 5 years or so. They seem to throw away these games, whether it's coaching, defense, lack of surrounding talent, drop balls, mistakes, fumbles. But Derek Carr is really rarely the cause of it. He had one bad year post-injury where he just couldn't find himself. He looked scared in the pocket, but he was on the MVP campaign the year before, top 3 quarterback. A lot of people had him. And I think, the past couple of years, he's back to form. He's looking really good. Threw a couple of great game winners last year. Really led that Raiders team well, but they got to figure out that defense. I like Darren Waller as a weapon for him. I like Ruggs. He had a couple great catches last year. But they got to figure out a way to, protect Carr with a better offensive line, but mainly that defense has got to figure it out, and they can't be giving up 40 points a game. It's going to be tough to be better than 8-8 playing like that on defense.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a Raiders fan myself, and I can definitely remember that year after his ankle injury where he didn't have it. But I mean, the thing is, they fired Jack Del Rio, and they brought in Gruden, and Gruden was to teach him the new system and just throw the ball away. So he's kind of trying to learn a new thing. And he thinks that that's the right play to do, and he kind of stopped getting
that this year.
Like, Jack Del Rio was the type of guy to go for 2 and they're down 1 right before the end of the game. So I'm trying to win this thing. We're going home. And Gruden kind of plays by the book.
He's more conservative.
So, I mean, I think it was just Carr was getting used to that. But I think if I had to pick it myself, I'd still put Stafford slightly ahead of him just talent-wise.
Talent-wise, yeah. Maybe we're...
Because Carr throws a great teardrop too, but then he has so many plays where I'm just like, why did you throw that ball away?
Yeah, or he'll take a bad sack that he didn't have to. he just will give up on a play early. That's some of the stuff. But at least he does win games.
But he's got a great arm.
Yeah.
And he can win games. I mean, I think they beat Kansas City.
Yeah,
right?
they did. I think they were the first team to beat him, and Derek Carr looked incredible.
Yeah.
So he's got it in him. It's just that defense has got to play better.
But I like the consistency from Stafford better. It's just
Carr's pretty consistent, but Stafford is a little more.
Yeah.
Tough
It was
rating.
frustrating as a
You're a little
fan.
higher on Stafford than I am. I value wins a little more, and he hasn't been that successful, so I can't.
But
put him
I
too
think
high.
Carr had a great offensive line, especially when Penn was there. Just great left tackle. It's just awesome.
I mean,
to
that's
see.
huge, for Carr. Because he's such an accurate.
I love that
deadly
line. I
quarterback.
think it was around maybe 2014, 2015 that he had a great offensive line that year when I think he was trying to go for that MVP hunt.
Yeah.
I think he had the talent, and that's where the thing with Stafford is. I don't think he's had that.
Yeah,
So I think you
Never
give
has.
him that.
We'll see how he does this year. I
It's
might be
tough
low on
because
Stafford.
he's older now, so it's like
I might be putting Stafford a
Stafford
little low.
might have been better if he had a chance when he was. I mean, he's not that old. I think he's still 34. Or
No, I know,
35.
but he's lost a little bit of pop on that arm.
But I don't think it's wrong to have Carr at 10. I just,
I love Stafford too, so he could be a little low. We'll see. It's tough to say. It's kind of like the Jets situation with Detroit.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But I am with you there. But let's move on to number 9. This is an ambitious pick here, and I think this might be a little high. But Joe Burrow here at 9. He went 2-7-1 last year. This is like buying a growth stock. Sal, you'd love this because you're a financial advisor.
Absolutely.
Didn't have a great year one, return on investment. But, we're looking at the prospects, because he had no offensive line last year, literally none. Lost an ACL as a reason. Assuming he can come back to form. Now, he was an incredible athlete before. That was one of his advantages. He ran just over a 4.40. If he can get most of his athleticism back, keep his confidence in the pocket, and he's got some swagger to him, so I think he's going to come back with that same confidence. And I love his arm and just that great touch down the field. He reminds me of a young Brady. So I think he's got that Brady-esque potential. I got to put him at 9 there. He was tearing up teams. Terrible defense, terrible offensive line, terrible surrounding talent. But I think if you put him on an average team in the league, he'd tear it up. He reminds me of a young Brady.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just that's a risk. You're buying and holding right now, and waters are very tumultuous right now.
Yeah, with injuries too.
Because with a tear like that on a very athletic and mobile quarterback, I do worry about.
that as well.
But the thing is, like, even if he's great, I just don't think with the Bengals he's going to be able to show it. That's my problem. Is like,
but the whole
he might be great. I get it. The list is greatness.
The list is greatness on average,
on average teams. But the problem is, I just don't think that we're going to be able to prove it because he's not going to have the same reason that I'm worried about the Jaguars is. Yeah, you might be great, but no one's going to get to see it, so you won't really be able to validate whether you're right or not.
You're not wrong on that. But this list, the idea of it is to say,
hey, I
an average
theoretically.
Theoretical average assortment of talent. I'd take Burrow at 9 because I love a lot of the stuff that he brings to the table.
Yeah, I mean, like it was kind of like how Tom Brady didn't really have great stats in the playoffs when Mike Evans and them were dropping balls and like kind of giving up interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
I worry the same thing's going to happen to Joe Burrow, where he's throwing it on the money and his guy just blows it.
He's got the new age Tyreek Hill that they drafted.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I forget his name, but young, quick speedster. So could have
So
the next Tyreek Hill.
that could be it. Was it the guy he played with at LSU?
Yeah,
already.
Okay. I think it was. Yeah.
Okay.
Can't remember his name.
Yeah,
Blank
can't
on
remember
that.
either.
But
is it Chase?
Jamar Chase,
Jamar Chase or
something like that.
Maybe.
I have to double check that, but really quick guy. I was watching film.
Yeah. I think he could be there. I wouldn't put him above Carr or Stafford.
Okay.
For me. Just because it's been 1 year. It's the same thing that I think it's been too early to give him.
Maybe it's a little too early. He was a rookie.
Especially, and then coming off
the post-injury is the only thing that I might look back and think this might be an idiotic take, but this is assuming he comes back relatively close to what he was last year.
But he throws a good ball, so it's not really like he can't do the other parts.
I mean, Brady tore his ACL, and he is still Brady, So
if he goes the pliability route, then maybe.
Yeah, he's got to get on the pliability.
Then I can see
this is assuming pliability.
Yeah.
But let's move on. We got Justin Herbert here at 8. This guy kind of reminds me of a young Brett Favre, but even bigger and more athletic. The guy's just got a cannon arm, really a gunslinger, not afraid to throw the ball into tight coverage. It took him a little while to warm up, but he went on a tear at the end of last season. Ended up 6-9 as a starter, and I just really like a lot of what I've seen out of him. Any guy with 6'6" size who can run a 4.5 with a cannon arm. Kind of got some Josh Allen potential to him. Really love what I said. I mean, I know a lot of Charger fans are really excited about him. What did you guys think?
I was impressed with that young man. I was impressed by his
when he trucked that linebacker, I was on board.
His demeanor and his confidence was pretty impressive.
Yeah, and he was actually close in a lot of those games that they lost.
They
kind of came right down to the end. So I think he's going to have a good shot at proving himself again this year. It could have been beginner's luck, but I don't think so. It looked like it was talent.
Yeah.
It could have been lack of scouting on him because no one saw it coming.
I did. I'm going to go on record saying that.
You saw that before the season.
I was high on Herbert. Yes.
Coming out of college.
Yes, I was high on Herbert out of college.
I could see that then. The one thing is I don't think he has Brett Favre's dog. I don't think he's got that dog.
Well, no one
Brett
could.
Favre
Brett Favre's a different cat. He's built
Brett
different.
Favre's the guy he'd be playing through like 4 concussions at one time.
Yeah, he was different.
And
he was built different.
He'd just say, "I'm going to go for it."
Yeah. No, he's not.
But Brett Favre might have been a little bit smaller than Herbert.
Yeah,
Herbert
he is a
might
better
have
athlete
more
and
gifted.
bigger.
But I think dog is a big part of the fight.
No one could ever beat Brett Favre's dog. No one's arguing that.
Yeah. So I mean, just in terms of talent and like what they're going to be able to do, I don't know if he'll quite get there. Like Favre's an all-time great. I don't know if he's going to be up there.
Yeah.
But he is very talented now. I think he's going to have a great year.
Your thoughts there, Sal?
Oh, just like I said, I think this kid is.
He's the next Josh Allen.
Yeah, I think he's got Josh Allen potential. Absolutely.
Do you think he'd be similar to Derek Carr though? Because Derek Carr kind of had a similar coming up
breakout. Yeah, but Derek Carr was never the athlete that Justin Herbert is. He didn't have that size. So like your worst case scenario, this guy's,
Yeah, that's true.
He's a 6'6", 250 guy who runs a 4.4, 4.5. That has a cannon arm.
I think he'll be in the league for a few more years to come.
Guy's a freak. So he reminds me of like a really, really good prime version of Cam Newton. So definitely a top 10 quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on here. This might be suspicious to certain people, but I got Baker Mayfield at 7. I might be a little higher than the general public on Baker, but you take away Odell, who I think is one of the most overhyped, overpaid, overrated players in the league. This guy acts like a point guard, man. He can turn a practice squad player into, like Higgins. He makes him look all world. This guy just throws dimes, really sees the field well. He's got all that moxie, all that spunk, and he just doesn't lose games. And they almost beat the Chiefs had it not been for that fumble, which turned into a touchback. They were the only team, besides the Buccaneers, to really give the Chiefs a run for their money. And Baker Mayfield's that guy, especially when you give him a good running game and Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. He'll look even better. But even the talent there, I love.
Yeah,
it.
I think you're
I understand
you're overrating him because
of his surrounding talent.
Yeah, I love that. I've been
but he has no receiver talent
all year.
Yeah, but his receiver talent isn't that great. He puts up stats.
So just based on that running game, though,
Landry's got some hands.
Baker had a good offensive line.
But
also.
say you gave Baker the Kansas City receiving team. Imagine the kind of stats he put up.
Right.
I say again, I just can't. Maybe I'm prejudiced against short quarterbacks, but I can't put him above Carr or Stafford right now.
He's a better athlete.
I can't put him above.
He's a better
Herbert
athlete
either.
than those guys.
Yeah, we're both. I think Jay and I are both.
I can't put him above
thinking
Herbert. Because Herbert's got the height and the athleticism.
Well, he did.
The thing is, he's like Wilson, or at least when Wilson was good. Is he's got the accuracy, and he
reminds me of
he can read the defense. He reminds me of Drew Brees. He reminds me of Wilson and Drew Brees.
Yeah, he's like a hybrid between Russell Wilson and Drew Brees, who has more dog and moxie than either of them.
Yeah, he does have that dog in him.
Yeah.
But
if I need to win a game,
I can't do that short.
You saw that comeback. I think it was last. I can't remember who they were playing, but he just clutched up. Like the defense blew it again. I was like, damn it, man. They had this game, and then Baker goes ahead with 27 seconds and does it again. It just drives him 80 yards down the field and wins it. It was just
a little high on your list for me, but
that's when I was back there.
High for me too.
I understand. He's got talent. But the height.
Yeah, the height's his only weakness. If he was 6'4", he'd be.
You got to be able to. You got to be at least the height of your lineman.
If he was 6'4", he'd be all world. But I have him at 7 because I love everything he brings to the table, and they brought an 0-32 over Puryear's Browns team to finally 11-5 last year. He's brought him to prominence. He finally took him out of the wasteland that was Cleveland, and they've recycled through how many quarterbacks to get there, and finally they got Baker. You got to give some respect to that for turning around a franchise. No, he's that guy.
Chubb was good for them.
Chubb's been great too. I love Chubb.
And I think Stefanski's been okay as a coach for them. I think that's been.
He works well with a good running game.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your thoughts there, Sal? You think I'm a little high?
Yeah, I'm with Jay on this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if he does real well this year on the other side of it. So Cal, I know you've always been a big Baker fan, and we're going to give you this one.
I don't usually like short quarterbacks, but he just gets it done. And I know there's a ceiling with short quarterbacks, but he reminds me of Russell Wilson, who's not afraid to throw the ball. And that's why I got him at 7, and Russell's down to 11.
I think my one problem with Baker. I mean, it's tough if you have someone the supposedly best receiver in the league.
Odell's trash, man.
The thing is, if you have someone like that, then you kind of have to change the way you're going to play, and you're always looking for them, or they're going to get pissed at you, and it's going to be one of those things. So I think maybe in my head, I kind of think lower just because he had to deal with that. But once Odell was gone, then he can actually pick the receiver and play the game the right way.
You can play with a diva receiver like that, but they got to be that guy. You got to be a Julio Jones that can actually go up and catch that ball. If you're calling for it and complaining every play, you better be able to make those plays. And Odell drops a lot of balls, doesn't go for him, causes a lot of picks, and he's slow, can't get separation. Yeah. He just doesn't have it, So if you're going to have that attitude, you better be bringing it as a receiver, and that's one of the reasons I'm so low on Odell. Mm-hmm. But anyway, moving on. This is a personal favorite for me. I really love this guy. He was slept on for many years. Number 6, Ryan Tannehill. Didn't look good at all with the Dolphins with Adam Gase, but who does? That's the only argument for Sam Darnold. Maybe he's going to come back strong.
Could be a Sam Darnold.
Yeah, he could be the next. Sam Darnold could be the next Tannehill. But man, this guy throws a great deep ball. He kept hitting A.J. Brown, clutch plays all year. Really opens up the field for Derrick Henry. And the guy's just a winner, man. They went 11-5 last year. They're always a threat in the playoffs. Really love this Tennessee team, and I think Tannehill's the right guy for him. A little underpaid. I think he's only making $25 million a year, while Dak Prescott's making $40 million plus. You got to wonder about that. I don't understand that at all. But I guess it's kind of you got to market yourself. You got to promote yourself. It doesn't matter how good you are. You got to. You got to promote yourself well, but whatever.
Well, the Dallas Cowboys have a few more resources than the
Maybe
Tennessee
they do.
Titans.
But he took a team-friendly contract, and maybe
he's the last quarterback to stop Brady in the playoffs, I think, since 2017 or 2018.
He is. He's the only guy who could stop the Titan.
Yeah.
And that's Tannehill. Really incredible thrower of the ball. Sees the field well. Former wide receiver, so he's a great athlete. Just a great quarterback.
And combined with Henry, the two of them, that is a great team.
Yeah, and great size at quarterback, too. He's 6'6". Just a great player.
Yeah, one of the rare successful that tall quarterbacks, because usually
he
around
might be
6'4".
a little lower. He might be 6'4", 6'5".
6'4", 6'5" is usually about the
He looks tall in the pocket. I got
now, boys, doesn't he get hair slow, though? Hair slow?
He was a former collegiate wide receiver. He transitioned to quarterback.
In terms of his mobility.
No, he runs like a 4.5.
But his mobility, he doesn't seem to...
No,
he's a pocket passer.
He's a pocket passer
he's got a good
because
arm.
He's so good at it. But if you watch him, if he needs to break outside the pocket, he'll get you a first down.
Okay.
He did it on big plays last year to get
I think
downs.
he did that against Brady. I think he might have sealed it when he just...
Yeah,
it was a third down, 3rd and 15, and he just hit a great throw.
Oh, okay.
It just killed me.
Yeah, he's incredible with that ball. So yeah, you got him at least top 6, maybe even higher.
I think he deserves to be there. I think he's one of those players that gets random hate for no reason just because he's a solid QB. I think he's one of the people that if you're in the comments, it's probably you're going to be the most upset about this pick for some reason.
Yeah, I want to know why that is. So if you do hate him, let us know in the comments. What is it you don't like about Tannehill? Is it the winning? Is it the size, the accuracy, the dog?
Because I mean, the only thing that people could say is that they think Henry's carrying more of the load, but Henry's a great running back, but they're both
a lot of games
great.
He doesn't. A lot of games Henry disappears and Tannehill gets you there.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't understand that argument.
But I don't understand the hate for him.
Yeah,
I think it's just because he was on the Dolphins and he wasn't successful, and then everyone's like, "Oh, he must suck."
Yeah, it could be his old resume or whatever. But
yeah, so I think that's more.
You get him on a decent team, and you see what he's really made of.
Yeah.
So now, out of courtesy, I'm actually going to put that number 5. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes higher than Tannehill. I know he got exposed a little bit in the Super Bowl. They kind of played him. They said, let's double team Tyreek Hill, make Mahomes beat you with his arm. And, you could say his offensive line wasn't good, but Brady's had terrible offensive lines for years, and he releases that ball. Mahomes was trying to hit those home run passes that he needed to develop, wasn't hitting his checkdowns, and he never even scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl. So, a lot of people are hating on Mahomes, saying he's not a top 10 quarterback. I think that's ridiculous. You got to have him in your top 10 at least. I think 5 here is a good spot for him. I personally, if I'm starting a team, I'm going Tannehill. I like the size, I like the mobility, and Mahomes is more your pocket passer. And my main thing with Mahomes actually is I don't like his throwing motion. The announcers love to say, look at that sidearm throw, but he throws every throw as a sidearm throw. And the thing is with that is, you can get a good zip on the ball, you can get some distance, but you lose the touch on the ball, and you can't put the arc on it. I give Russell Wilson a lot of credit because he's great at throwing teardrops because he throws an over-the-top motion. And same with Brady, another great over-the-top thrower. Mahomes just doesn't have that in his arsenal. So any of those plays that you got to hit a guy in stride past the defender, he doesn't seem to be able to hit, and it's a huge factor in making those winning plays, especially on tightly contested drives where you don't have much separation. Fortunately, he plays with Tyreek Hill, so he always has 10 yards of separation anyway. But it's always, for me, it's the Alex Smith argument. Looked like barely an average quarterback in the NFL, almost wins the MVP with the Chiefs, and goes 12-4, which is the same record that Mahomes has been going. The Alex Smith effect is why I can't put Mahomes any higher than 5. I like what I've seen so far. He has a strong arm, but there's a lot missing there in terms of his throwing motion doesn't allow him to put touch on the football. He's got the best surrounding cast in the league in terms of receiving talent and typically a great offensive line. And he's not the most mobile quarterback either. So I think there's a ceiling there with Mahomes. He's going to do well with this team. It's so talented. I mean, Alex Smith almost, got them there too. So, but I can't put him any higher than 5. But I like, he makes some good, cool plays because he's a former basketball player. So, he can make those shuffle passes and stuff. Everything's on the table with him. He's not your classical, quarterback who plays by the book. He'll throw a lefty pass here and there, so make some cool stylish plays. But he just doesn't have the ceiling that a lot of the elite, the higher guys on this list have.
Yeah, I kind of see where you're coming from. My only thing is that I would love to see Mahomes on a decent offensive team. Just to see him. I'm saying it's hard for me to say that he's worse than any of the people above him because he's playing with the best team, and he hasn't really had. He's had this one bad game. The rest, it's just he has a great team, so it's like you can't really tell. Yeah. It's hard to pick out. Is it him? Is it Kelsey? Is it Tyreek Hill? Because it seems like he can hit some crazy throws that I haven't seen other people hit. The one where
I love that one.
He's horizontal through the air and hits it right in the face in the end zone. Yeah, it gets dropped, but it hit him in the face. So I think he can hit those throws, but it's tough to really say it's him because I've never seen him. That's the one thing about Brady is he's done it with anyone, anyone. They pick up lacrosse players and he turns them great.
Suddenly you think Chris Hogan's all world.
Yeah, but when you have Tyreek Hill, who I don't know who else. It might have been another receiver or the running back were running for the touchdown, and he's 10, 15 yards behind and sprints next to him just to cheer him on as he gets through the end zone. So if you have someone like that, it's hard to say. Are you great at being quarterback, or do you just have the fastest person in the league?
His 4th best receiver would be the best receiver on the Bears. Sammy Watkins, or are you talking? What's the other guy? No, not Damian Williams.
Hardman.
Mecole Hardman. All those guys would be all world on the Bears. You'd say, "Wow, we got Hardman. No way, we have a real deep threat."
But it's hard for me to say that he deserves to be any lower because he's played well. I mean,
he's had a lot of success.
But I mean, maybe now if they try out this new defense, let the Buccaneers try it out where they just kind of put 2 over the top and just say, beat us underneath.
Yeah, make Mahomes beat you.
But Levante David played great against Kelsey, so it's really hard because Kelsey is a beast. So
I know he is.
You're not going to get that. And Kelsey dropped 2 easy ones.
He did.
He dropped that 3rd and 15 that was like a big play.
That was a big play.
So, I mean, it's going to be tough. I think he's going to be really successful, but again, you put him on an average team, I don't know if he's as good as he is now.
Yeah.
He could be, if anyone put them higher in the list, I wouldn't be upset. But I'm going to just, my only argument is that I think that they're kind of letting the fact that his whole team's good.
Yeah, and I'm going to probably be one of those guys who put him up on a little higher on the list because, my Packers, who I like to cheer for, they had the opportunity to play the Chiefs last year and I heard that Mahomes, that was injured, was not going to play the game. And so I assumed Rodgers and company would win the game, and they did. So that takes a little wind out of your boys' sail on that because, I had strong confidence that if Mahomes wasn't at quarterback, that Packers probably could.
Isn't there back on Matt Moore?
Yeah.
who would be like the 50th best quarterback?
Well, that's what I'm saying, but what it's proving my point that it isn't just all the other.
Well, I have him at 5. That's not an insult. That's a really big
compliment.
compliment.
The point I'm saying is I probably would put him at my number 3 spot.
No, I can't put him at 3. That's insane to me. But, to each their own. I guess some people like him more. It's just the Alex Smith thing for me that, you saw that success. You saw the turnaround in his career. It's hard to say, how would he look with the Bears? How would he look with the Raiders, I don't think you'd see the same Mahomes without the greatest system, with the best wide receivers in the league, the best tight end.
I think it helps with. I know you don't think he has a big arm, but I think it helps if you're good at a deep ball. And I know you don't think he throws a great deep ball, but I think if you have the fastest player in the league, you're going to put up good numbers and you're going to hit those touchdowns.
Yeah.
But I'm saying I don't think if you put him on another team, I don't know if he has that option. And it seems like his option usually is to just launch it and let someone get to the ball.
Yeah. And Tyreek Hill's a great jump ball receiver too. He goes up in double coverage and wins jump balls at 5'10". He's just incredible.
Yeah, he's a beast.
But anyway, so I have him at 5. I've heard people
I'm
rank him
not
lower.
Sal having him higher.
I've heard people rank him lower, heard him rank him higher, but I think 5's a good sweet spot for him for me.
Who do you got at number 4 there, Cal?
So we're going to move on to number 4. I got Josh Allen here.
Okay.
I'm actually on board going to say that Josh Allen's overhyped. I have him at 4. I kind of have a Mahomes thing with him. He's a lot more mobile, has a better frame, doesn't have the same surrounding talent as Mahomes, and has had similar success. Hasn't won a Super Bowl, though. But I think people are getting too caught up in fantasy stats. They're saying he puts up these great rushing and passing yards, Yeah, he's all-world. He does everything so well. But I'm a guy that really relies on, you got to have great touch and great accuracy. You got to be Tom Brady to be the GOAT, And he doesn't, for me, have the best touch on the ball. He just throws bullets, He's got an incredibly strong arm. But I don't know if he can put the soft touch on the ball to make it catchable for, his third string tight end, if that's the play that calls upon it. He can't throw a soft ball to me and can't put touch loft a ball over, a 20-yard lofter. He just throws a bullet every time. So for me, that limits his options in a similar fashion to Mahomes. He has a better throwing motion than Mahomes and is a much better athlete with a better, size for looking over the line. And doesn't have the surrounding talent, so it's easier to, rate him. But I have him at 4 here. I have everybody saying he's the next great thing, but for me, 4 for Josh Allen right now.
Yeah, it's tough. I had him at number 2, but after talking to you, it kind of makes sense. I mean, but the same thing with Mahomes is he had a bad last game in the Super Bowl, and Josh Allen kind of had a bad last game against the Chiefs.
He did.
And I guess it can happen to anyone, but I think you're probably right. It's his touch really isn't quite there.
Yeah.
Bullet passes, you're never going to win every year.
No.
Doing that. But my argument was he's throwing to Diggs.
Yeah.
And Diggs is the type of person where if you're even a yard ahead of how far he wants to run, he's just going to let it fall to the ground. He's not diving for anything.
Or an interception.
Yeah.
He'll let the guy pick it off. If it's not.
It has to be exactly where he has to put in minimal work to get it.
If he can't jog to it, he's not going to bother.
Yeah. Because I saw him so many times with Kirk do that, where it'd be a deep ball and Kirk throws a money ball.
Yeah.
And then Stephon would just stop running.
Yeah, he'd stop the route, saying, I never could have got there.
So, I mean, if you're throwing to Diggs, and I don't know if his number 2 is Cole Beasley.
Yeah,
so
you got to give him some credit.
This is what he's doing it with.
Diggs and Beasley.
But so that's pretty tough. Imagine him throwing to Kelsey and him throwing to Tyreek, Mecole Hardman.
I know. No. Okay, I think there's a big drop-off between 4 and 5. I think the top 4 are supremely...
I just want to see. I don't think there is. It's just I just want to see them switch, and I want to see what it is.
Well, you know what that would be. But
I think Mahomes is better than you give him credit for.
I think there's a huge drop-off between the top 4 and then 5
because I think Mahomes throws a prettier ball than Josh Allen.
I disagree.
I know you don't like his
I think he throws a wobbler. I don't like it. It's I don't like the throw motion. I just don't think the defense can pick it off too easily, and you saw that in the playoffs. Threw some huge picks. Didn't always come back to bite him, but for me, I think Josh Allen's a different level than Mahomes.
I think that my top 3 are a different level than Josh Allen and Mahomes, but I think Mahomes and Josh Allen to me are almost interchangeable. I get it that Josh Allen's playing with a worse receiving core.
Yeah, well, it's the athleticism.
But he makes up for it with the running. But I'm saying maybe he wouldn't have to if he had a good.
I think he's Mahomes with a little better of an arm because he really can sling that ball if you're even open by an inch. And then it's the athleticism and size where you can overpower linebackers and stuff and outrun them.
Well, he's a crazy good athlete.
He's a freak athlete.
When you're hurdling people as a quarterback.
Yeah, he's a freak athlete. So that's what I love out of Josh Allen. And
but
he's a winner.
He was going to be my number 2, but just in terms of quarterback talent, it's tough.
Well, let's move on to number 3. I like Mahomes. I just think there's a drop-off in talent from the top 4 to Mahomes.
Number 3, I know is going to hurt you to say it.
This kills me because I think within the next 5 years I might have him at number 1. But right now, I got to put Kirk Cousins at number 3. I know a lot of Minnesota fans are going crazy in the comments, like, how dare you, how dare you insult our man? And yeah, he's been incredible. He's got one of the top 6 passer rating in league history or something like that, including all the all-time greats. Doesn't miss any throws, the best touch on the ball in the league, including Brady. Just wins games. Ever since Pat Elflein got cut, that offensive line started protecting him, and he was tearing up the league. Actually won us our fantasy championship due to his great play. So the guy's just an incredible talent and can really unlock the best in his receivers. I know maybe he's a little low at 3, but out of respect for the next 2 guys on this list, I got him at 3. Although I love the talent. He's got one of the best touches in the league in terms of arm strength, and he throws the best deep ball in the league, and some of the best vision in the league as well. So just some throws he makes are just absurd. But due to his coaching system also, he doesn't get all the opportunities that some of these guys get in better systems. But if you put him on any given team, I'd have him at least 3, and that might be low.
Yeah, I think that one of the stats I was looking at is I think he's the only active quarterback, to be even close, like in their first 100 starts, to Aaron Rodgers. I think it's like a 97 to 96 average passer rating. So crazy good. I would recommend anyone who is going crazy the opposite way, who's like a Kirk hater. For some reason, it's kind of like the Tannehill thing where there's these random haters.
Yeah.
To go watch the 2019 skills contest.
Oh, yeah.
It just blew my mind. I was like, holy, this guy, he's throwing it through a wheelbarrow, like a wheel 100 yards away. No one has a prayer, and he's just threading the needle right through everything. You're like, oh my gosh.
I've never seen an arm talent like that.
That was intimidating. Game time, he's really good, but I think Zimmer holds him back.
Yeah. Their play calling is atrocious.
It's bad, but I mean,
it's one of the worst.
They have a good play calling for their running game.
Yeah,
Dalvin Cook looks great. Even what's his face?
It's so predictable on offense, and it's just they have one of the worst offensive lines in the league.
Well, as a Packer fan, I've always been happy that Kirk has had the coach he's had in Minnesota.
Zimmer,
because I would really fear him, but thank God Zimmer keeps him from being more successful than he is. So
yeah, I love that when they beat the Saints in the playoffs. Zimmer says, "Yeah, I told Kirk to go a different direction, but he saw something else."
he's upset that he won
dimes it to Rudolph.
Yeah. Beautiful touch throw, game winner. Said I was going to run the ball on 4th and 5. Yeah, but,
I think it's just people hate on him because he is so PC. He's very gosh darn it.
He is kind of gosh darn it.
And a total dad on the court. But just in terms of raw talent, the guy is just insanely good.
Yeah, he is.
And you got to really watch his games before you go off in the comments right now. Just go watch some Kirk Cousins highlights.
And Minnesota fans, before you go off on us the other way, because you probably do watch the games. I know maybe this is low, but you got to give respect for the legacies of the next 2 guys on this list. Because Minnesota guys, you probably know what we're talking about with Kirk. For those of you who don't watch Vikings games, and they're not a very popular team, go ahead and watch some film, and you're kind of going to see what we're talking about.
It's really a pleasure to watch.
Yeah, he's incredible, and I'm a Packer fan.
Frustrate the hell out of you watching.
I'm a Packer fan, so I have to watch 2 of his games a year, and the guy just terrifies me. He's so good. But moving on to number 2. And this one is a little contentious, even within our Cal and Sal pod here, because these next 2 guys are so incredible. I got Aaron Rodgers number 2. I'm sorry, but we actually saw the heads-up matchup. If you haven't figured it out, Tom Brady's number 1. But Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers played in the playoffs last year, and that's the last 2 guys on the list that we were debating between. And Tom Brady outclassed him. When it came to clutch time, Aaron Rodgers is down. He's got 3 chances on the 10-yard line.
But Cal, where I would push back on this is you've made this argument about Mahomes with the talent. Brady was super loaded with talent, and Rodgers just about beat him with virtually no talent.
That is a common myth that Aaron Rodgers does not have talent. Aaron Jones is probably the best running back in the league.
You watched a lot of Packer games. Didn't you see
number 2 offensive line in the league?
Scantling,
they have
a number of
arguably the best offensive
number
line
of
in the
other
league.
Green Bay receivers.
I know.
Being carried down the field wide open, ball in their hands, and they drop it to
I'm not denying that.
I
am not denying that. Okay. Yes, Aaron Rodgers does not have incredible receiving talent, but are you telling me Tom Brady does? Are we saying Mike Evans is all
Mike
that he's made
Evans.
up to
Mike
be?
Evans is a very, very. Mike Evans.
No, he's not.
No,
No,
he's
you've gone too far. You clearly don't watch
Mike
Bucs
Evans
games if
is-
you're going to
Mike
say
Did you
that.
watch it? Even if you watch the playoffs, even a casual fan would don't.
Yeah,
No, Mike
don't you
Evans-
dare. You've gone too far
He
now,
was
Sal,
not
and you know it.
He was not impressive last year, but years prior, he was
Maybe
very
5
impressive.
years ago, yeah, he was pretty good. The guy's slow as molasses, and he doesn't even try for jump balls anymore. They just say, you know what, that's going to be too tough for me.
I like
Go ahead
Chris
and-
Godwin though. Chris Godwin
Chris
does
Godwin's
have
got
some
that
jump
dog in
balls.
him. I love Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
So Chris Godwin is comparable to Devontae Adams for me. I think those two are about the same level. And then maybe you could argue Bucks are a little better on the fringes. You know, I really like Scotty Miller. Antonio Brown was great in the playoffs.
Right.
You
And
know
you
when
got-
Antonio
and you got-
Brown's your backup
yeah.
receiver, that you've got
Right.
a pretty
Yeah.
good receiver.
Yeah, no
for.
question about that.
and you got
Gronk was great.
Gronkowski on top.
Yeah, but what's our guy? Our tight end.
our tight end Green Bay had a.
You
great
have to
tight
admit
end.
that Brady
Tanyan was really good too.
Yeah.
So,
Brady makes everyone look better. Like Edelman
That's true.
is arguably going to go into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and he looked
And he
like
was
he
a
should be
quarterback in
In
college.
fact, he
Well,
tried
it
one
sounds
year.
like both you boys are going to put Rodgers at number 2 behind Brady. Then.
Yes, but I mean Edelman tried 1 year with Cam Newton from being an all world receiver the year before, and he's out of the league. So you tell me, you know, Rob Gronkowski formerly retired, Antonio Brown not even in the league, cut, couldn't make a roster.
So
Tom Brady makes them look
okay,
great.
let me ask you boys this question: if you had the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster last season, and you had your choice between Brady or Rodgers,
I don't
you
think
would take-
Rodgers wins.
No,
it.
Rodgers doesn't have that same winning mentality. He's not.
See,
He doesn't have the
me as
leadership.
general manager, I would put Rodgers on
No,
that team.
not even close. He doesn't have the intangibles. Tom Brady, are you really going to not go up and get that ball for Tom Brady? I'm not going to quit on that ball. I'd die for Tom Brady, you know? And so would the rest of his team. There's a reason that he has 7 Super Bowls.
Yeah, I can't agree with you there, Sal. I can't see it. I mean, Aaron Rodgers, if you're talking just pure talent where you go, oh my gosh, that throw,
Yeah.
you could give it to Aaron Rodgers. Like, some of those I'm like, holy. Like,
Yeah, he is the
back of
most
end zone,
talented
like,
quarterback
really
of all
in
time.
the thing.
I've never denied that.
But the greatest winner. If you want to win, we're talking
winning. The goal of this is to win on a random assortment
Not to
of
be on the
average
winning
talent.
team, but to be the reason your team won.
Is Tom Brady. You know, Aaron Rodgers, game on the line. He'll quit on you. He'll say, you know what, go and got 2 cuffs. My guys let me down. They dropped a few balls. Tom Brady says, come on, guys, we're better than that. And then he'll come back and give you right back, you know, throw that same throw and give you another shot at it. Aaron Rodgers will hold it against you, be all bitter, and just throw the ball away.
I will
Aaron
agree
can
with
get
you, though,
pouty,
that
that's
He can
for
get
sure.
pouty, and that loses games.
you'd see those Valdez-Scantling drops,
Yes.
though, that were just, like, right in
Oh,
his
they're
hands.
terrible.
And you're like, oh my gosh, like, this is awful. Like, I mean, outside
Yeah,
of Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones and
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. They're the 2 weapons they have. Other than that,
Their offensive line is great.
They have
Yes.
a great offensive line and a good defense. Really good.
Yes.
In
And
fact, I'd say their defense is better
according
than
to
the Bucs.
Cal, I mean, even Kumero's good. According to Cal.
Well, he got cut, but
But I mean, according to you, he was good.
he was pretty good.
So I mean, like, if you hit those throws, I guess it's doable. But
Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you. I had these 2 quarterbacks close, but it's just the winning intangibles and leadership that puts Tom Brady on top, and touch of the ball. He throws a better touch ball than Aaron Rodgers. Can't deny that. And also, he just sees the field better, being a bigger. Aaron Rodgers,
I like the Bucs defense better than the
they played good in the
Packers, though.
playoffs, but they were bad in the regular season.
They just had to find themselves.
They did
though.
find themselves at the right time.
Yeah.
They caught fire at the right time. But Aaron Rodgers is smaller in stature, doesn't throw as good a touch ball as Brady, and isn't as tough as Brady, mentally or physically. You know, you just can't get in Brady's head. You know, Brady just keep coming at you. Aaron Rodgers has some quit in him. He's ready to go to Cabo at times. There is moments where like,
Well, he's in Hawaii right now. He's out
yeah,
here,
I'm sure he
he's
is.
out here in the
He'll
islands
throw it
with
in.
us.
Tom Brady lives for this, and he'd be willing to die for 10 rings.
My
You know?
problem with Rodgers is like he doesn't take the first 2 quarters as seriously as Brady does.
No.
Like it might be 8 minutes left in the first quarter, and to Brady, that's a game-winning decision on hitting that 3rd and 10.
Yeah.
That Rodgers might say, like he might just check it down to a screen pass to
Say,
get a little bit
my
better
team didn't
punt
quite get there.
position.
You know?
Like he'll
But-
say, we're 3rd and 10, get a few yards and let's punt it.
Yeah.
Brady's saying, I gotta hit this 3rd and 10 to win it.
Yeah, Tom Brady holds himself to the highest standard. And
3rd
that's
and
why
10 with the ball, I still pick Brady.
100%. In fact, you saw that against the Chiefs 2 years ago.
Yeah.
4 3rd and 10s. The guy just doesn't disappoint.
Refs were trying to stop him.
You
and
can't stop
you
Brady.
Can't stop him.
You know, the refs hate Brady. They always have.
But to me, it's a very close. I'm not mad if someone puts Aaron
No.
above Brady. I
he
think
deserved the
obviously-
MVP. He deserved the MVP. He was incredible. He is an
Yeah.
incredible talent, but he doesn't have that winning intangibles that Brady does, where he just will not quit until you're defeated. You know?
Like if you put Brady on the Packers, do they win that year? And you put Aaron on the Bucks, I think the Packers win and they win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, 100%.
Because there's just something about it. It's just you rally behind him. You say, "I'm going to die for this guy."
Yeah, and I would too at receiver, 100%. He's got the aura about him. It says we are not going down. You know?
Yeah.
And there's
He's
something.
just one of those people.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like you said, it's a close battle between the two of them.
And I'm a diehard Packer fan, and even
I know. I just couldn't help cheer against Brady. Like
it was a really sad
I'd be
morning
happy either way.
when Brady took him down. I was really sad, but I think I was going to be sad either way.
I was going to be sad either way because I love Brady.
I love
and
that Brady's
Packers.
just solidifying his legacy.
I knew Jay, you felt bad for old Sal out on the island last night.
Yeah.
I was thinking about you. I was like, I better hope he's catching some waves right now. I'm just kinda
I did. I had to paddle out, and I wasn't sure I was going to paddle back in. But I paddled back in.
I've been there, Sal.
Say, boys, I noticed both you boys. Did you get on the boards this afternoon? I laid a couple of the big twin fins out. I leaned them against your cabana.
Yeah, it was great. We went around 9 and 10 a.m. right around low tide, and we just kind of caught some good waves.
Well, I
It
noticed
was a little choppy out there when it got later in the
Cal,
afternoon.
you styled your hair differently than when you were out in the cabana last year. It just looks a little different. But and then Jay, also you've got a shorter hairstyle. So boys, I'm using this powder. It's called Kabuki, and I think you should.
Now I have to cut all this out. We're not including this. It's hilarious, but we're not including this. Go ahead and restart your story. Say something else.
No, boys, I've got this powder. They call it.
Now I have to go back and cut a third
You
section.
can do it.
They call it Kabuki.
Let him
And
finish this segment.
what
It's
I-
not going in, but
What I really like about it when I'm sitting on the board, some of the top of the head is a little exposed to this Hawaiian sun. I sprinkle a little bit of that on the top and get some great coverage and prevent burns on my dome.
now my only
And-
worry for you, Sal, is are you losing the benefits of vitamin D?
Yeah, because you're actually genetically inferior if you don't have your bald patch up top.
Okay. Well, I was just going to suggest that, boys, because I know, and I especially.
You want to ask a different story because then we can have a smooth transition out of that because I'm not including that. We can't be promoting Kabuki on the pod. We'll lose all our subs.
Okay.
So, do you
You
guys
guys ban us off YouTube?
Okay.
All right. I just curious. I know you guys just joined me recently, but I left a couple of the big 9-foot twin fins next to your cabana. Did you boys get out and catch some waves this afternoon?
Yeah, it was great. Well, actually, not this afternoon. We went around 9 or 10 a.m. That's when low tide was this morning. And
Oh, yeah.
it was just great.
Great.
Oh, the sun was beautiful out there. I definitely got a little sunburn. I'm not used to this, especially during COVID with quarantine.
Yeah, it's so nice that you boys were able to get out and enjoy some of the waves.
Yeah. It has been too long, Sal.
Yeah, some
Well,
of the sets.
it's tough because I was just last weekend surfing out at Mavericks and in California. And
Oh, yes,
the
sure.
tough thing is when you come out to Hawaii, you forget how shallow that reef is. You know,
Oh.
like, I forgot. I
Yeah.
took a bad fall this morning, and I didn't kind of land flat on my stomach. I just went straight feet down. Kind of nicked my foot up kind of a bit, but it was so beautiful out there that you kind of just keep going. And you just
How do you
keep
feel about
pushing
blood in
through.
the water with sharks, though? I mean,
Yeah, it's not like blood. It's like you see my foot. It just kind of swells up. It's kind of like almost poisonous to the touch. It's not really like you start bleeding.
You know, Cal, the other night, Cal and I were just sitting around, and Cal was kind enough to bring me a really fine bottle of scotch. We were just having a scotch around the fire, and Cal told me some really blood-curdling stories about his first trips as a young man to Hawaii when he was attacked by these moray eels that we have out here. Have you boys had any
it's a top
experiences?
5 deadly fish on Earth.
Yeah, have you boys had any recent experiences with those moray eels?
I stay away from the moray shores, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, now what about the tiger sharks? We got a few tiger sharks out there.
Tiger
I didn't
sharks,
see
yeah.
any today.
Nothing today. I heard everyone out there wasn't saying anything about it. Usually, the last time I was out there, the last time you flew us out, they told me like, "Oh, be careful. We saw one this weekend."
Yeah, I saw a 9-footer a week ago. When
Yeah.
I was out.
We were on
Well,
the
that
boat
would have been
every-
good. That would have been good to know, Sal. That
I didn't want.
I'm
you
happy
boys-
you didn't tell us that, man. I was a lot more peaceful.
I left a
on the
post-it note on one of the boards about it. I said, "Watch, there's 9." I saw
I must not have
did
seen it.
that blow me or that
You're
blew
so
up?
excited. It's such a nice board. You're just heading out of the cabana. You just want to hit the
I was running
waves.
down to the beach. I didn't even look at it. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you guys just always be on your toes out there and watch your toes. You know, because
Yeah.
you know.
You can't be too careful with the
I don't want
tiger
to.
sharks.
I don't want. You both have some lovely girlfriends. I don't want to have to make that terrible call. You know, Cal lost a leg today, or Jay lost an arm or some appendage. I just don't want to make that call. So you boys be careful.
We sure will.
We sure will,
thanks
Sal.
so much, Sal. You've been such a great sponsor to the channel. Everything we do
Well,
is
I wish
really...
we could have agreed on our number one, but that's
Yeah.
all right. We're going to see how this season goes. My quarterback might not even play this year. Aaron Rodgers. He's
Well, yeah, well, so
might
you could be on a
sit
different team.
he could be on a different team. I'll tell you if this is one thing I've thought about.
I do worry if he goes to a good team.
There's a number
Yeah,
of
what if
teams.
he does?
I had heard a rumor that maybe he would be traded to the 49ers, and I tell you, if he got on that 49ers team,
I'd put some money on that one in the
I'd
Super Bowl.
I'd be taking some of my savings.
Does
and
that
say,
make sense for the Packers to trade them to another NFC?
No, it doesn't make any
East?
sense. Other than
West.
other than
NFC
Aaron
West.
would request that trade because he's a California native, and he would
Yeah,
want
but
to
they're
go
not going to give.
I don't
it
think
to
they'd
him.
go for that.
But,
They might send
if you give the Niners him, the rest of the teams might not even.
They might
bother.
trade him to.
We
the
might not
Giants.
even have to show up next year. Any of the NFL teams say it's
Yeah,
over.
I think they should just take the season off and say,
Yeah.
okay, we'll forfeit that one for you guys.
Yeah,
that would be a
too
real
easy.
unfair advantage.
Yeah, but
for the
even
Niners.
then, if you put Brady on the 49ers,
That's true.
it's
Same
like-
exact story.
Same story. That
Yeah.
with any Bosa brother. on
Yeah,
your
with
team,
an elite QB, it's over.
yeah, it's over.
That's right.
But thanks you guys for tuning in, and thanks
Yes.
Sal for having us out here.
Oh,
It's
it's just
beautiful.
great. Hey, I'm not serving you guys breakfast tomorrow, so you guys are on your own. I know this is unusual. Because
Are we
of
going low
COVID-
budget now, Sal?
Well, no,
What's
it's
going on?
more related to the COVID. We're only 50% vaccinated out here, so I've got some of the staff saying, they're just not comfortable yet going indoors serving food. So you guys are on your own. So there's a nice market just down in Lahaina town. You can go down there and you take in one of the vehicles. Just there's keys to neither vehicles out here.
If you're providing transportation, then I can't be upset.
I hope you don't mind. It's a little inconvenient.
No, not at all. I mean,
Yeah, there's a couple. I mean, I'd say there's a couple Teslas out there, but they don't have a lot of storage in the trunk area. So, you're gonna have a little. You can't take too many groceries back, but. I've got a couple other. I've got that new Ford, the new electric Ford pickup. You might like that.
there's no way you have the F-150.
I've got the 150 Lightning. I
What, a
got
prototype, or it's not even released yet.
It's a prototype. I and my a friend of mine's cardiac surgeon in Mountain View, California, and he was able to get one of
Are you
the. He
serious?
was able to get one of the prototypes out here for me.
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
He's been a long time Ford buyer, and of course they're running some beta tests, and so yeah, you guys might want to try the Lightning.
I'm going to be in that tomorrow. I can't wait.
I'm so excited.
I looked at some videos. Yeah, it's got the cooler in the bottom. We could take
No,
that right
I
out
think
to
you're
the
really
beach.
going to enjoy it. It's a real quiet ride, and the acceleration is just incredible.
Wow, Sal, you choose too good. But anyway, thank you so much, you guys, for listening. This has been such a great pod. The QB rankings were great. Let us know what you think in the comments. Did we have Aaron Rodgers? Should he have been number one?
Was Dak too high?
Was Dak too high? Great question. If you listen from the start, let us know what you think. So thanks you so much for Sal for having us out. Me and Jay, we really appreciate it. Great to have Jay back in house here at the Cabana. COVID's been, we had some, phone call pods and stuff. So thanks you guys for sticking with us. And Sal,
So great to have Jay with us.
Oh, I loved it. Yeah. So thanks so much for all the support, all the fans, all the likes, all the subscribes. Really appreciate every one of you. And Sal, you've been such a great sponsor since the
God
beginning.
bless you, and God bless the boys for making it out here safely.
Yeah. And we can't wait to bring more Blazing Fives starting next season when the NFL is
Looking forward to the new season.
Full swing. So stay with us. Excited to release this, and we'll see you guys next pod.